So I want to tell you about something that happened to me. It's one of those things that doesn't sound really dramatic when you describe it, but it stayed with me in a way I can't quite shake. It was late, one of those nights where the house feels really still, kind of like the quiet has a weight to it. I was sitting at my desk in my office working. The room was only lit by the glow of my monitor. And then out of nowhere, the screen flickered. Not a glitch, not a freeze, just a single sharp flicker, like someone had brushed a hand across the back of it. I shrugged it off because electronics do strange things sometimes, you know. But then the lamp across the room flickered too, once and then again, and then it dimmed, like something was drawing power from it. The air in my office felt different. It was charged almost. I remember sitting there listening to the hum of the electronics around me, the computer, the lamp, that old stereo on the shelf. All of them suddenly felt aware, like the room had shifted from being empty to being occupied, and the only thing that had changed was the current running through the wires. And here's the part that unsettled me the most. I wasn't reading anything spooky or watching anything scary. I wasn't thinking about ghosts or hauntings or anything remotely paranormal for a change. I was just present. And whatever that moment was, it felt like something had slipped in through the circuitry or the signal or just the attention that I was giving to the quiet. It passed after a minute. The lamp brightened and the screen steadied. Everything went back to normal. But the feeling lingered, the sense that something had been there just long enough to be noticed. Sometimes I think hauntings don't come through doorways or hallways or mirrors. Sometimes they come through places we never even think to look. Through electricity, through screens, through the inevitable pathways that run all throughout our homes, cutting through the quiet hum of the devices that we trust to keep us connected. Tonight we're exploring what happens when the boundary between the living and the dead isn't a doorway at all. It's a power line. Let us begin. And welcome to a very silent edition of the
Well, it's
Castle
only
of Spirits.
silent for us, and I don't know why, but they can hear the music. We just can't.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Good.
see if I can figure it out while you talk.
We're not pros or anything like that.
At all.
So we're here on a fun Saturday night, live in the Castle of Spirits.
That's right.
We're here to tell you some things. Usually we tell ghost stories.
Are we not doing that tonight?
In fact, we actually are. However, I would say this is a little bit more along the lines of Ghost in the Machine. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had my computer muted because I'm dumb.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. Yep.
So anyway, before we get into night stories, I want to point out a couple of well-known real-world hauntings that show just how often the paranormal seems to move through electricity. This is what we're talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The ghost in the machine, the spirits that come through places where you least expect them to.
Should we introduce ourselves?
I think they know who we are. My name is Vince. I'll be your ghost keeper for the evening.
And my name is Jane, and I will also be your ghost keeper for the evening. And this is the Castle of Spirits True Ghost Stories podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that's out of the way.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm really eager to get to my thing.
I know you are.
I worked on this. I did a lot of research on this.
Nice.
And I'm really chomping at the bit. Champing at the bit. It's actually champing at the bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to tell you that I am really hoping that you scare the crap out of me tonight.
See, that's what we like to do. We like to scare the hell out of each other. Sometimes she'll pop out from random corners and try and hit me with a face that could stop a clock.
Wow.
And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Or
but I keep
sometimes I'm just standing in the kitchen and he walks into the kitchen and gets scared all by himself. So
I've done that. I told the story many times about how I was in a changing room at like J.C. Penney or something, and I walked in, and there's a mirror right there where I don't expect it to be, and I was like, "Oh, sorry," and then I realized it was me. That wasn't me getting scared so much as startled, but
that's hilarious. I wish I could have seen that.
I wish I could have seen it too.
Very on brand
Again.
for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That never happens to you, though, does it?
No.
So, guys, somebody pointed out something really interesting recently in, I think it was a Spotify comment,
Mm-hmm.
that they really enjoyed the fact that it seemed that we come here and do this and we're trying to scare each other, which is that, but that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Well, that's exactly what we used to do, 20 plus years ago.
Yeah. We used to come to this very website, castleofspirits.com, when it wasn't ours. And we used to sit there in the glow of the computer monitor and try and freak each other out.
Mm-hmm.
It happened on quite a few occasions, as I recall.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping tonight is going to be another one of them.
Me too, because if it's not, I'm going to defenestrate you.
Okay, that sounds very painful.
Yeah.
And I've already been through some sort of fenestrations in the past. I'm pretty sure of it. But
All right. So, pray tell, how will you be scaring me and us tonight?
The first thing I want to do is I want to point out a couple of well-known real-world hauntings that are examples of just how often the paranormal seems to work through electricity.
All right.
Through screens and the devices that we live with every day. The first is something, I think you've heard this, Jane. It's called the Black Monk of Pontefract. It's one of the most documented and violent poltergeist cases on record. So,
yeah, I'm familiar with the name. I can't call to mind any of the
it's
details.
in West Yorkshire, England. This was the Pritchard family in the late 60s. They lived at 30 East Drive. Don't bother whoever's living there right now. The activity in the house was really freaky and unsubtle. You always hear about lights flickering when there's a ghost around, things like that, which I think a lot of people take for granted. When you think lights flicker, why do they flicker? Well, maybe the spirits are coming through or drawing the electricity. I mean, we know that. Those are established theories.
Yeah.
About spirits draining batteries and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case with the Pritchard family, Mr. Pritchard, lights, they didn't just flicker. These blinked in like deliberate rhythmic patterns. And they sometimes responded to people speaking in the room. There were household appliances that switched on and off even when they were unplugged. Always a dead giveaway.
Oh, that one is so creepy to me.
You like that?
Yeah, that one always freaks me out for some reason.
There's more of that to come actually.
Gimme.
Tonight. Investigators reported, they called investigators, smartly, the Pritchards, and these investigators reported sudden power surges that rolled through the house like something was traveling inside the wiring.
Ooh. I don't think that's how electricity is supposed to do.
I don't think so. That's not how you do electricity. This entity, for lack of a better word, seemed to use the electrical system as its own communication network, or almost like a little freeway or something. It manipulated current and light as easily as someone just flipping a switch. To this day, that case, the Pontefract case, is considered one of the clearest examples of a haunting where electricity itself becomes the medium for the paranormal activity. But there's another one that really, I think this is going to freak you out. It freaked me out a little bit when I saw it. It's called the Tallman House haunting in Horicon, Wisconsin.
I think I do know this one.
This one gained national attention after being featured on Unsolved Mysteries in 1987.
Nice.
So the Tallman family, they brought home a second-hand bunk bed.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently whatever came home with them, with that bed, quickly spread throughout the house, especially the television. So this is strange. It goes from a haunted bunk bed that moves to something else, like it's waiting for something else to travel to. That'll give them a more bang for their haunting buck. Basically the TV would turn on by itself at all hours. The screen glowed even when the set was completely unplugged.
Ugh.
And the family, they saw flickering images that did not match any broadcast. And at one point, a dark figure appeared reflected in the screen, standing where no one was.
No, hang on.
So you're sitting there watching the TV, it goes dark, and then you see your own reflections and someone standing. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I think it's terrifying. Also, the TV emitted a deep, vibrating hum that shook the room despite having no power source. This was unplugged. They unplugged it.
Wow.
The activity escalated so intensely that the family eventually had to leave the home.
Did they take the TV and the bunk bed with them? Because those would be bad decisions.
I think they probably left the bunk bed and the TV, and they probably just took the clothes on their backs.
Mm-hmm.
This is way scarier than the Amityville Horror, if you ask me. I don't know. It's similar. It's a very similar thing, you know. No blood coming from the walls, but that was just in the movie.
Yeah.
So,
fewer cash grabs, I assume. Sorry,
yeah,
did I say that?
It seems that way, yeah. There are lots of cash grabs with Amityville. I hear that, I think at last check, there were like 20 sequels, and that's not a joke. They're like literally Amityville this, Amityville that. Because you don't own the name. The name is a real place, so nobody owns the name, and they can make a horror movie called Amityville.
I still maintain, though, Amityville 4 is the best Amityville movie. And it's ridiculous and hilarious and stupid and stars Patty Duke and doesn't even take place in New York. It takes place in California.
That's right.
Amityville
it's the
4.
The haunted lamp that travels across country.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like, don't get me wrong. It is not a good... Hey, but there's some ghosts in electronics in Amityville 4. We've got the lamp.
The lamp, yes.
Remember the chainsaw in the basement?
Chainsaw goes wild when the kid's holding it.
That is the funniest scene. Seriously, you got to watch that movie.
If you can, I'm sure you can probably find it on YouTube or something, but if you can, try to find the Riff Tracks version. The guys from Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that was the Pritchard family. And that one remains one of the most famous examples of a spirit manipulating screens and stuff like that, and the TV. Both of these cases show that when something wants to make itself known, it doesn't always do it through footsteps or cold spots like traditional hauntings, like what you expect. Sometimes it doesn't do that. Sometimes it comes through the current and through the devices that we use, which is doubly scary because sometimes you pick up a phone or turn on the TV to try and escape something dark that you're feeling, or, you know, if you get scared, you turn on the lights. But what if the lights are haunted?
Right.
So with those two cases in mind that I just gave you, hauntings where electricity and everyday devices became that little creepy thing. Let's turn to a few stories from our own website.
Ooh.
Former visitors to the website, listeners to the show that echo that same unsettling pattern. Now, you might think that I had trouble finding stories that sort of fit this, but believe it or not, I actually had some success, and I had to sort of pick and choose some of the stories.
Wow.
That I found.
I believe it because I believe in you, Vince.
Why, thank you, Jane. You're quite a ghost keeper, if I may say so.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So I'm going to read you a story now from the Castle of Spirits.
Okay.
Library. This one's called, well, it was submitted in January of 2006, anonymously in the USA. And this story is called Spirit Hitchhiker on the Information Highway.
Oh.
Do you believe that a spirit can haunt a person via the internet? If I were asked that question 2 months ago, I would have said impossible and just smirked. But what happened to me may just be considered a case of a spirit conjured up by thought, not necessarily haunting, by a computer. Either way, the medium at hand was the internet. I've always been a believer in the paranormal despite having had that encounter. I love to roam around the net and browse different paranormal sites and relish the spooky stories being offered. This day was different in that it was no different from any other day. I botched that line, but you understand. Except that it took a look at some sites devoted to ghost towns and abandoned mines. Very specific search there. I came across a site for the Bureau of Land Management that gives statistics on abandoned mines as well as safety reminders. There's also a section on the unfortunate souls who did not heed the warnings posted at the entrance to most mines, or either that or they didn't see them at all. There were a few stories on that website that were particularly shocking, but one that really bothered me was one about a man who was out exploring the desert alone and happened upon a mine. He fell down a shaft that I believe was between 5 and 8 stories high. When his remains were found, sometime later, the medical examiner stated that he more than likely survived the fall with a broken leg, but died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This person was a well-prepared explorer who packed survival gear, including a gun. So what this has to do with the story, I began to imagine very vividly the man sitting at the bottom of the shaft in complete darkness and in complete agony. His pain, both emotional and physical, must have been unbearable. As the hours passed, he realized that he was too far out in the terrain for someone to just happen upon him, and that the chance for rescue was futile. He probably began having thoughts about his family, his life, and I sort of imagined the man completely breaking down sobbing. I saw this in my head. I felt so saddened and wondered to myself, what would I have done? Although I was shocked and moved by this story, I moved on to another website. That's when the lamp on the desk next to me began flickering, making a buzzing noise that sounded like an electrical surge. I thought the bulb may have been loose, so I checked, and of course I found that wasn't the case. At this point, my stomach dropped to my knees when I felt that someone else was there. I sat back down and I carried on, not wanting to tip off my visitor that I was aware of what was going on. The light flickered again, but I ignored it. A short time later, I went into my windowless bathroom and I shut the door. The light in the ceiling did the exact same thing. I immediately ran out and went to the other bathroom in our house. Over the next few days, more bizarre electrical occurrences happened. I was at the stove cooking when all of a sudden the oven timer went off, scaring the you-know-what out of me. The bathroom light went on the fritz again, but this time I was already, seated. So I got angry and brave and I yelled out, "Do you mind? I'm trying to use the bathroom." With that, a tiny little flicker, and then it stopped. My cat was also acting strange. His eyes would seem to follow something or someone who was not there. At other times, he would awaken with a jolt out of a sound sleep and focus on one part of the room, blinking in curiosity. I eventually smudged my house, and the activity stopped. Could it have been that my strong feelings and thoughts about this man who fell to the bottom of that mine enticed his spirit to me? Or was it just coincidence, another random spirit who I picked up on the information highway? Who knows? I do believe that the human mind is very powerful, and I do believe that those on the other side can pick up on that power. So I'll ask you again, and one last time, do you believe that a spirit can haunt a person via the internet? I do. That was anonymous in the USA in January of 2006, Spirit Hitchhiker on the Information Highway. I think that opens up a lot of topics to discussion.
Yeah. It yeah, that was good. There was and I just brain died.
Oh my, no.
I
Should we
had
call the
something I was gonna
ghost 911?
yes, call the paranormal 911.
Ghostbusters on the way.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there was something I was gonna add to that, and I can't remember what it was now. But
Well, I can't imagine a more inopportune time for a haunting to occur than when you're indisposed, seated upon the bathroom throne. But yeah, I can imagine it's not like, oh God, please help me. More like, no, get out of here. I ain't finished. And the ending flourish is not something I want to have any witnesses to. So,
wow.
um,
I liked what Anonymous said about, wondering what this man thought or
Yeah.
felt. Kind of picturing him, and it seemed like they were having like an emotional connection there, and that's quite possibly, what drew that energy, whether it was actually like his ghost or psychic energy of her their whatever own. um yeah.
yeah, it kind of touches on something we talked about, I think, a couple of shows ago. Remember how I said that medical emergencies always happen on Fridays?
Yeah.
I know that's not the case with everything, but I mean, I meant pet emergencies when there's really no option. They have animal ERs, but you want to take your dog or cat to, or chinchilla to.
I swear to you, I almost just said or chinchilla.
No, we don't have a chinchilla.
I've never even actually like seen a chinchilla in person. That was the most random thing.
It's I tell you, the paranormal works in strange ways. But anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
About things happening because
they happen at inopportune times.
Things tend to come into being when you're most afraid that they will.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the case? Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank your lucky stars if you get up on a Monday morning to find that your dog is ill and you can take him into your normal veterinarian. But if it happens on a Friday night, you know that it's your fault because you called it into being. But yeah, the concept though that you could actually summon a spirit by thinking too much about him.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the people listening to this podcast may want to be careful about what they are thinking of right now and drawing to them.
Uh-oh.
Us as well, I don't want to have nightmares of this poor guy, the bottom of a well.
Yeah.
And his spirit coming through the interwebs into my head.
It's got to be pretty rare though, because for as long as I have been interested and absorbing as much paranormal information as I can, and feeling it and seeking it out and wanting it and everything, I don't have
it's never happened.
experiences like that, but
well,
but I'm open to it. If anything is listening, just flicker the lights twice for yes.
But wait till we're done broadcasting.
No, let's get it on camera. Everybody has a camera. Freya has a camera,
She has a camera
in her pocket.
Wow.
And with everybody,
she's not a kangaroo either.
With everybody having cameras, why aren't we getting more evidence? So yeah, we want it to happen.
That's the $1 million question
right now while we are live.
That's the $1 million question. I think that's something probably Werner Herzog would ask or has asked, is why is it that the heyday for things like UFO sightings, poltergeist activity, and all that kind of stuff happened during a period of history where cameras were a little bit slower. Not everybody had one, certainly not in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And with the proliferation of these smart devices that fit into your palm, you would think
Mm-hmm.
all. I mean, but it happened to me. You know, I was taking Freya for a walk and I saw what I thought was a UFO. It certainly was an unidentified flying object or floating. A UTO, unidentified tumbling object. That video, we have
Is
that
it?
video on our socials if you want
Isn't
to
it?
check it out.
Aren't they called UAPs or something?
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I prefer UFOs because UFO is something it's scarier than UAP. UAP sounds like a delivery service. It's coming UAP in 24 hours. If you say there's a UFO coming, oh man, I'm there. I'm excited.
Wow.
And some people are scared.
Well, I think I remembered what it was I wanted to say. You were talking
Oh.
about ghost towns, that this person was reading about ghost towns.
Mhm.
And it reminded me of an Unsolved Mysteries episode about a ghost town. You know, it's like one of those tourist trappy ghost towns.
What was the one in California? Cisco? No. it was
Calico.
Calico. Yeah. It wasn't really a tourist trap because there wasn't anything being sold, but it was kind of cheesy.
Yeah, they did have little shops.
Oh, they did. Okay.
But this one, I can't remember what the ghost town was, but they had like a little saloon, you know, in the old saloon, I guess, and there was a TV up above the bar, and like one of those little old CRT TVs, you know. And there was just a broadcast on about something. I don't know if it was the news or whatever, but everybody's sitting there watching, and all of a sudden, the image just starts turning.
I do remember that. Wasn't that on
until it was
the
upside down?
wasn't that on the Queen Mary episode?
I don't think it was the Queen Mary. I'm pretty sure it was a ghost town, but I could be wrong. But
It could have been the one in Nevada, the Mitzpah Hotel.
I don't know. Anyway,
We want to travel, but
when?
but the places but the places that we want to travel to don't allow us to bring 2 cats and a dog.
Well, they can stay home.
They
You know
could,
where I
but
really want to do an episode
the
from?
places that we want to travel all have to do with hauntings and not. We don't want to go. I mean, sure, it'd be great to visit, Niagara Falls or something. But more than that, I want to visit the Lizzie Borden Bed and
Yeah,
Breakfast. For
I want to
example.
do a live show from the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, are you guys interested in Lizzie Borden? Because we could actually.
Of course they are.
Lizzie Borden was a true crime thing, though, that has sort of tenuous connections to paranormal, in that that I think that the people who run the bed and breakfast in that murder house from the late 1800s, they sort of lean into the whole thing of this house is haunted by the ghost of the people who were murdered, and maybe even Lizzie Borden herself coming back to the scene of the crime after death.
Man, I hope not. She lived in a big, huge, gorgeous house, like on the other side of town.
Afterward,
If she's haunting anything, I hope she's haunting that one, because she wasn't happy in this little house.
I think we should do our top favorite Lizzie Borden theories.
Okay. We'll do a Lizzie
because
Borden episode.
it's not a cut and dried case. So if you guys want
No.
to see that or hear that, let us know, because I've got one in the pipeline.
Yeah, we already got 2 for Lizzie Borden in the chat. So yeah,
All right.
that's all we needed. We're gonna do it.
But this first one we might have to wait, not do it there, but we'd have to do it maybe in the
No, I want to do it there.
in the castle.
Start saving them pennies. Oh, yeah. I do have a creepy electronic haunting
Let us hear
thing.
it. Let us hear it.
So my mom's house has had, it's not a particularly old house, built in the 80s, but it's had a few incidents. She and my stepdad heard a person's voice in their ears while they were like waking up one morning. They both heard it, and so just little things. It's just little things like that. But one time, I was over at my mom's house. I was waiting for her. We were going to go somewhere, and She was upstairs getting ready. I was sitting downstairs in the living room. There was no one else there. It's quiet in the house because, she was getting ready to leave. And I was just sitting there waiting for her. And all of a sudden, this is many, many, many years ago. So when I tell you that the VCR turned on, you understand this wasn't like last week. So the VCR turns on and I hear it like rewinding or something. And then the tape ejected and it turned off. Now I know that when you would play a VHS tape to the very end, it would automatically rewind when it hit that end and then eject.
It's a natural function of the VCR
Right.
in its heyday.
Right. But anybody who has ever had a VCR knows you can hear the VCR when it's running, even if it's just playing. And it was silent. I would have heard that and been like, why is your VCR on? Because the TV wasn't on. It just started running and then it turned itself off. So, I don't know. I asked my mom when she came down, I was like, what just happened with your VCR? And I told her what happened. She's like, I haven't even used that VCR in like days or whatever. So it wasn't like she had just been watching something, which is how that would have had to have happened.
Now I have the obvious question. Did you look to see what the tape was? Was it like,
No.
Amityville Horror or some sort of ghost movie of some sort?
I have no idea.
Of course you didn't. That's the first thing you should look at.
I
Say,
know.
what movie is trying to get your attention? Here, look at me. Look at me. Look at this.
No.
Well,
maybe next time I will.
If it ever happens again.
Yeah.
That brings me to our next story.
All right.
This was submitted anonymously in Florida, the US of A, in May of 2001. This is called, Is the TV Man Real? When our twins were about 3.5 or 4 years old, we lived in a duplex in upstate New York. My husband and I were in bed watching TV one night. When we switched the TV off, a face appeared in the TV that was like a head. You could make out the head, the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the mouth. We actually joked around about how the TV man was watching us sleep at night. The next night, the same thing happened, and it continued every night for about a week. We decided to leave the TV off and unplug it to see what would happen. Sure enough, as we got into bed, the face appeared in the TV again, even though it had not been on all day. We didn't think much about it, as we are very open to the idea that there are spirits in the world who watch and wander. A few days after that, one of our daughters came running downstairs, as quickly as a child her age could run, and she said the TV man was coming down from the attic to get her. She was, as you can imagine, scared to death. Our other twin was sitting at the bottom of the stairs, and when she heard her sister yelling about the TV man, she acted as though she knew exactly who she was talking about. They sat at the bottom of the stairs and talked about how scary he was and described to each other what he looked like. We had never said anything to them or in front of them about the face in our TV, as we didn't want to spend the rest of their toddler days sitting up with them at night because they were scared. Shortly after that, the face disappeared from the TV and never returned. We never really talked about it after that. We just assumed that we had a visitor and that the girls had met that visitor also. About 2 weeks ago, one of my daughters asked me if I had ever seen the TV man and described to me the thing that she and her sister had seen when they were younger. They're both 10 now. I asked her how she remembered something like that when she was so young, and she casually replied that she had been thinking a lot about it lately. Who knows? Maybe he's with us here in Florida. I guess we will find out. And that was Anonymous in Florida in May of 2001. Is the TV man real? Anonymous, you got to update us.
We need an update on that.
I mean, that was a long time ago, so something's... Hey, if
He's
you were one of the little girls...
He's coming down from the attic. What?
And that name, the TV man. If they didn't say it in front of the kids, where did they get the idea that something was in the TV that was coming down to get them?
Oh, that is so creepy.
I mean, that puts a whole new spin on that poltergeist, they're here thing when she's...
Yeah.
And that's another, that's a perfect example of a movie that shows how, I mean, even though, you know, it's a work of fiction, but it shows how electronic devices can be the conduits, not necessarily the things that bring the spirits in to this world, because we all know it was in the closet. But spoiler alert. But it could be the conduit that they gain strength by, and
right, as a constant source of like fairly strong energy.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting that they didn't take Carol Ann through the TV screen. That probably would have been a lot better than her.
Duh, you know. The TV screen is glass.
Well, not in the supernatural world. It could turn into something, you know, pushy throughy.
Pushy throughy. So, speaking of TVs,
yes.
It makes me wonder about things like the Max Headroom broadcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You mean the hack broadcast?
Yeah, the hack where there was a character dressed like Max Headroom, and he was saying some creepy, weird stuff, and then it was gone. And to this day, nobody knows where that came from, how it happened, who did it.
It's always been assumed that it was a pirate, somebody that jammed the airwaves and wanted to come on.
But what if it weren't?
But what if it weren't? Because I don't think anybody ever came out and said, "Yeah, man, that was me."
Right.
I think that wasn't that through the it was the they jammed the broadcast or came in the broadcast for The Falcon and the Snowman on HBO. Interesting.
Is that what it was?
I think so. I think that was the Max Headroom one.
Weren't there? I think were there two?
There have been several, actually.
Well, I mean the Max Headroom hacks. I think there was only one or maybe two, but
yeah, but it wasn't actually what's his name?
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
what's the guy's name that plays Max Headroom? We know his name.
Michael
Hutchins. No,
Furr.
Matt Furr.
Matt Furr. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. How would you know if what was being broadcast was a real person or something supernatural?
Right.
I think that the conventional wisdom comes down on the fact that it was a hack.
Yeah.
But, you know,
could have just been a ghost who was a big Max Headroom fan.
And that broadcast was seen by millions of people or tens of thousands, whatever.
At least 4 people.
At least, because there was at least one video recording of it. Somebody was recording it. And it exists. We'll put it in the links to the show notes.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you got to see it. It's pretty creepy.
It's definitely.
Did you get the idea to do this from my episode last week where I talked about my computer screen?
Yes, exactly.
I got up in the morning and my computer screen, come closer, I can't see you. That's going to be a real quick no.
Yeah, I did, in fact. I wasn't, in fact, inspired to do a little bit of research more on that.
Nice.
You know, the whole concept of, like I said, the ghost in the machine. You know, it's one that I remember they did an episode, an X-Files episode called "The Ghost in the Machine." It was one of my least favorite episodes because there was a ghost. You know, that was it was the ghost of a murdered. I don't know what he was, some sort of a corporate executive or something. He was trying to alert the authorities that he'd been murdered or something like that. I thought it was kind of cheesy, but and the special effects, of course, early '90s. But it's something that resounds in the zeitgeist, if you ask me.
I did ask you, in fact.
Well, I just answered you, so, you should probably be just happy that I did.
Well, thank you. Do
Now
you
I
have
have to
more
ask you a
stories?
question.
Oh, okay.
Are you scared yet?
Yes, the TV man coming down from the attic, that kind of served up Hereditary. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, the whole scene where she goes up in the attic and
one of the best and most frightening movies that I probably don't want to see again. We bought it, didn't we?
Hereditary?
Yeah.
I don't think
We
we
always
bought
end
it.
up buying these movies that we're
I
terrified
don't
to
think we
watch.
bought it. Oh, I love Hereditary though. I'll watch it constantly.
You will?
Oh, it's horrifying and I love it.
Oh my God.
Oh, if you haven't seen Hereditary, I resisted seeing it for a long time for some reason. And so good. So good.
Now, we were just speaking about VCRs.
Yes.
We were just speaking about ghosts in a machine.
Yeah.
I have another story here
Do it.
from the Castle of Spirits archive. Again, submitted anonymously by somebody in Michigan in January 1999.
Ooh.
Getting back there.
Mm-hmm.
This story is appropriately titled Ghost in the Machine. And it goes a little something like this. A few months ago, my neighbor asked me to babysit her two sons that are ages 2 and 5. I'd babysat them many times before, and nothing unusual had ever happened. Before the current residents moved in, an old couple lived in that house. A few years ago, the man died of a heart attack while mowing his lawn. I used to sell Girl Scout cookies to him when I was young, but I never personally knew him. Although I was too young to remember, I have also been told by my father that in the same house, about 17 years ago, a man committed suicide in the garage by leaving the garage door down and his car on.
Mm.
While watching the children, I always felt a little off. I felt that I was not alone in the house, that we were not alone in the house. Although I've never seen a ghost. The night I was babysitting happened to be Devil's Night. The kids and I were watching a tape called Grandpa's Sing-Along. At the end, Grandpa and all the characters were in a group singing with the credits showing on the screen. I took the tape out of the VCR, and on the TV, I could still see Grandpa singing with the characters with the credits rolling. I looked down at the tape in my hand, and I stuck my fingers in the VCR. Empty. The singing continued for 20 seconds and then stopped. I have no idea what the message to me was, if there was any, but I still have the chills when I remember holding the tape in my hand while it was still playing on the TV. Anonymous in Michigan, January 1999 with Ghost in the Machine.
I don't like that. Because here's the thing. If you are not old enough to have used VCRs a lot, that might not seem that weird to you. Because, we have caching and buffering and all of those types of things now.
On digital, yeah.
Right. So, with digital, it kind of is possible that, like, if your internet goes down and you're streaming something on YouTube, that it can keep playing while you have no internet connection and then stop after a little bit because of caching. VCRs, that's analog, baby. There ain't no caching.
That's literally a machine.
If the tape is not touching the playhead, there is nothing coming through.
And there's no chance that it could come through.
No.
I had that happen to me the other day with the DVD Blu-ray player connected to my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Something froze up or something, and I unplugged it, but it kept playing.
Yeah.
The content for about another 30 seconds, and I didn't freak out because I know that it was cached, all that information,
right?
So that it provides smooth performance, but
not VCR.
But not a VCR. And not if you I wouldn't stick my hand in that VCR if I knew that if it was still playing.
And
I would think
something
maybe
about
that's a portal to something, to Grandpa's sing-along hell.
Grandpa's sing along for some reason. Oh, that give me shivers. I don't. That sounds creepy. I do not want to be involved in a grandpa sing along.
Shiver
Like,
me timbers.
I'm sure grandpa's a perfectly nice guy, but if you're going to call it grandpa's sing along, maybe it's just because it's in the context of a spooky story, but I hate it. Thank you.
I think that we should look into that. Maybe there's some grandpa sing-along on
All right.
YouTube or something
I'm going to
like
look
that.
on my
No,
phone.
well, on this at this second, we're recording a show.
Amber in chat says, I don't think there was a message. There was just a creepy grandpa.
Sometimes that's all the message you need.
Yep.
Just a reminder that all grandpas are creepy in one way or another. You know, most of them innocent. But
My
there is
grandpa wasn't creepy.
But there's a certain creep factor to every one of them,
Why?
because that's what happens when you grow older and become slowly more and more disconnected from the youth culture.
You would know that
I
better
do,
than
I can
anybody else
I
here.
do, as a matter of fact. I can feel it happening.
Oh, great. I just searched Grandpa Sing Along.
Oh, is it a cartoon?
No, and I'm not seeing anything, but I'm going to get all kinds of Peppa Pig in my my recommended.
You just let the algorithm know that you're interested in grandpa sing-alongs.
I just
and
got
you
Peppa Pigged.
You screwed yourself over there. So how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, these are pretty good.
Are you freaked out? Are you pooping? Sorry, are you
I
freaked out?
hope not.
We'll find out later. About 10 minutes from now, we'll do a check.
A sniff test.
Sniffed. Come on, Jesus.
Sorry,
This is a family show.
You
for Christ's
started
sake.
it.
All right. And finally, to round out the top 4 stories that I found on the Castle of Spirits website, we finally have somebody who identifies themselves. This came from Tom in Manchester, England.
Hi, Tom.
Across the Atlantic Sea in November of 2010. So like recent. This is a little ditty called Haunted Electricity. I went over to my friend's house and we played all night on the computer and PS3 when we had a blackout. Me and my friend Rob immediately hugged each other in fear. His mom found torches and found us upstairs hiding under a desk. I wonder what they were playing. Must have been something terrifying. This is before the era of horror video games, the way they're so prominent nowadays. Anyway, back to the story. We went down into the basement, all of us, and found that the power had been turned off. But no one could have gotten down there. There was a PIN number leading into the basement. And his mom was watching TV, and Rob and I were upstairs. And it was only the 3 of us. We walked back upstairs again, and we reached the living room. Just as we did, the power turned back on. So Rob's mom went down again with me and Rob, and we watched the TV. She screamed and ran up the stairs and into the living room. I asked what happened. She told us that she had seen a face on the power switch, and that when she got closer, it frowned and opened its mouth at her. About 5 hours later, we were all sleeping. How? I don't know. When Rob's light switch blew up, it blew up, sparked and all. His mom came running in with a torch and led us outside. As we watched the house in fear, Rob was crying. Just then, every light in the house turned on and back off again. Ever since that day, I've never set foot in that house, and neither has Rob. Okay, Tom, I have some questions here.
Couple.
Tom from Manchester in November 2010, Haunted Electricity.
Did Rob just live in the yard after that?
Yeah. How does that happen? A little kid playing video games, and suddenly he's just ousted out of his house because the electricity is going crazy, and there's a monster or some sort of ghost, in the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
We shall not talk about the veracity of the outcome of that story, but to say,
The veracity?
yes,
The validity?
velocity,
Velociraptor of that story.
but to say that there could be some element of truth to that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
right, we all know that
For sure.
that power surges and things happen, but and
Yeah,
if it
but
had been
how
one
the
of
switch get
if
turned
it had
off?
been one of the kids, I mean, maybe it tripped. I don't know, but if it had been one of the kids who said they saw something like a face
Mm-hmm.
in the power supply or something,
Mm-hmm.
that might have been reason to wonder. But if it was the mom that said she saw it, I don't know. Who knows?
But,
What do you
okay,
think of that story?
So breakers can pop, right?
Yeah.
And they turn off. But then
Yes.
it can't just pop and turn itself back on. That's not a thing that happens.
No, well, if it is, I don't know how the electricity stuff is set up in England.
Well, I bet it doesn't turn itself on.
Well, I should hope not. I mean, that's something that you don't want to mess with. You need to see an electrician, Tom. But by now, I guess they probably have figured the problem out. It could have been a very, very old house. We live in a house right now that, you could swear that when they built this house,
Yeah.
they said, don't worry putting too much electrical outlets because that's a passing fad.
It's a
We'll-
fad.
We'll go back to, to
Lighting
what?
fires and carrying around oil lanterns.
oil lamps and coal to warm a house and things. Well, forget all that stuff. 70,
One outlet per room. That's all they need.
right.
Even that's generous.
Never knowing that someday somebody would live in that house quite dependent
And really
Not
pissed off
electricity.
that there's not 3 outlets on every wall.
and angry that when they looked at the house listing, they didn't realize that, or when they made a walkthrough of the house, they fell in love. Houses can be beguiling. Remember that house that we looked at back in 2014?
Mm-hmm.
There was a house up there,
Yeah.
and we lived kind of close to it. We looked at it. It happened to be the first house we looked at, and I fell in love with the house. I fell in love with it.
Felt like it was like pulling him in, like calling him to
Yeah.
it. It wasn't the first house we looked at, but
I thought.
oh
it
wait,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, because you
No,
said
the
this
other
is-
one.
you
I was
said-
thinking about the other one that you felt. Yeah, we looked at like 40 houses.
Yeah,
Seriously.
and I fell in love with like 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was something about that house that I remember. There was like some sort of problem, and there was a big plant covering a big bulge in the wall,
Big crack in the
a
foundation.
crack in the foundation, and yet I was like, I love this house. I want this house. Jane's like, well, look around at the street, and I don't know, we could do a little bit better. And I was like, I want that house.
He still cries about it.
No, I cringe every time I drive by the house. But the spell has broken. It took a couple of months, but it
Yeah.
finally did break. But I do believe that there are homes that find you
Yeah.
instead of you finding the house. We talked about with Jessica's story from last week, that they were looking at a house. Jennifer's story from last week,
Mm-hmm.
when they were looking at a house. It was the house from her dreams. She'd had dreams
yeah.
about the house, and they didn't buy the house.
Yeah.
Come on. But, maybe they were smart and they took their warnings.
Speaking about last week,
Yes.
we actually got a text from Amber, real Amber, the one who submitted the 2 stories, not Amber.
These are 2 doppelganger
Yeah.
true stories. She's never seen her doppelganger. According to the first 2 stories, it was her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not an update, but like extra information that she forgot to include in the last story, because in the
Okay.
last story she said that she walked into her art room, I think she said, right? And was saying, basically leave me alone or whatever.
Or I'll throw paint at you.
No. And she said that she put an art book on the table and said, if you want to look at something, you can look at this book. And then it was open, right?
Right.
Okay.
I remember that.
So she says, "Hello, Jane and Vince. This is Amber Red. I sent the Not Amber story an update. It just dawned on me that I never included what was on the page of the curiously open sketchbook the morning after I left it on the end table. The page it was left open on was a page I had filled with harpies. The harpies themselves have beautiful faces, along with the typical bodily details of a harpy. I don't know if that's super important detail, but I thought you might find it interesting. And I do, because harpies are cool as hell. And any ghost worth his salt, or her salt, or their salt, knows that, leave the book open to harpies.
So the ghost opened the book and was staring at harpies when that was the last thing they looked at. That was kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
I do like that. And harpies are creepy.
Wait a minute. I said the ghost. It was her
the
doppelganger.
But
right?
How do we know a doppelganger isn't a ghost?
I guess we don't. I mean, that's probably the scariest part about it is that you think that it's a ghost that is able to mimic what you look like and
or sound like
and sound like and present that to your loved ones. Can you imagine all the kind of trouble that you get into with that? Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have any other stories for us?
Well, the hour grows nigh.
It does.
And I think that's where we'll leave it for tonight.
Okay. That was excellent, though. I really like that topic.
Thank you.
And I do hear the music coming down the hall.
Yes.
And
yes, ushering us to our end, the end of the show, that is. So I just wanted to say, after everything we've talked about, those, tech-centric hauntings and stuff like that, I think that we've officially covered enough paranormal ground here tonight to short-circuit a small city. As always, thank you guys for hanging out with us. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to remember, if you like this show, the best way to help it grow is to leave us a rating or review wherever you listen.
Or comments.
We have a lot of listeners and not a whole lot of people leaving reviews or comments or anything like that.
Yeah, get on
Apple Podcasts it literally tells the internet this show is good.
And we love our Spotify commenters too.
We do, very, very much so. It helps us grow. It makes a big difference. And of course, if you love the show, tell a friend.
And if you hate it, tell 2 enemies.
Why, you might ask? Well, I have an answer.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, dragging this out.
Because if you're going to spread chaos, at least let it be spooky, entertaining chaos. No, that's kind of lame.
It is kind of lame. But, just remember, guys, head to castleofspirits.com, sign up for our mailing list, submit your stories, send us a message in the lounge, ask questions, whatever you want. We need you and your info to continue to do this podcast. So, come on, don't let us down. Don't let the ghosts down either, because
they're vindictive.
They are.
You let them down, they're gonna do something.
Well, before you know it, their faces in your TV. They're coming down out of your attic, and nobody needs that. I don't need it. The ghosts don't need it. So anyway, if you like this show, tell a friend, and if you hate it, tell 2 enemies. And we actually love you guys, and we'll see you again next week.